Confronted almost immediately with a daunting task: defeating a terrifying, impregnable, giant robot being controlled by a band of brilliant, unscrupulous scientists. Piece of cake. Stay tuned if you dare and behold the robot. Next week, the Doctor attempts to rescue the survivors of an Earth rendered uninhabitable by solar flares. Be with us next Sunday night at 11 when we travel to the Ark in space.
Tonight, the Doctor gets waspish and attempts to deliver his foe a stinging defeat. The buzzword is danger in the conclusion of The Ark in Space.
Next week, the Doctor, Harry, and Sarah return to Earth, expecting to find a deserted planet. What they do find will provide the making of the Sontaran experiment. Next Sunday night at 11.
On the supposedly deserted planet Earth, the Doctor finds an advance party for the Sontarans. What is this diabolic lot up to? 5 will get you 10. They're not selling Girl Scout cookies. We'll know soon enough as the Sontaran experiment unfolds.
Next week, the Doctor is sent on a life-or-death mission to overthrow Davros, the great Khaled scientist and creator of a dreaded species. If you've ever wondered how the Time Lord's most persistent and deadly nemesis came into being, be with us next Sunday night at 11 for The Genesis of the Daleks.
Did you ever get one of those doohickeys?
Indian burns? No, I don't
Yeah. Here, give me your arm.
No. No, a long time,
listen, this is all time.
It's time for the Channel 11 5th Sweepstakes celebration, and you're invited. This year, you'll have
Friends of the planet Voga. But first, they will go after the space station Nerva. Tonight, we will learn if the Doctor can prevent the revenge of the Cybermen.
It's a down-to-earth slice of American life. The most human of all tickets across the USA, and your seat's reserved. Riding the dog, next time on Travelers.
Real nice group of people.
Take a bus ride to Chicago, Monday at 9.
I'm Diana Rigg, your new host on Mystery. Our season begins with Marjorie Allingham's debonair detective, Albert Campion. Albert is bemused when called to investigate the murder of a man whose funeral he'd attended 3 months earlier. The case of the late pig. Next.
It's a new season of Wild Chicago.
Hi, this is Ben Hollis. This week on Wild Chicago, the 60s live again at Maxworks Co-op, a school for movie stunt people, a surprising Southside detective agency, a lady who lives with 30 rats, Chicagoland's most unusual butcher shop, the best place in the city to make out, and a strange variety show at Lincoln Avenue nightclub Lounge Act. All this week on Wild Chicago, your TV guide to the urban jungle.
It's a new season of Wild Chicago, Friday night at 10:30.
Have life's woes and pitfalls ever pushed you to a point of desperation? Trying Times returns with 6 new comedies of survival drawn from the chronicles of modern life. Gina Davis, Carrie Fisher, Judge Reinhold, Peter Scolari, and Gene Stapleton prove that hopelessness and anxiety can bring out the best in people in these trying times.
Trying Times returns Friday night at 11.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey. I'm a subscriber to Channel 11, WTTW in Chicago.
The oil rigs of the North are disappearing. Can the fault lie with a band of overzealous environmentalists? Don't bet the ranch on it. A more plausible explanation is that it's connected to the terror of the Zygons. Next week, the Doctor and Sarah, on their way back to London from Loch Ness, will receive a Mayday call and will suddenly find themselves on Zeta Minor, a planet on the outer fringes of the known universe. Be with us next Sunday night at 11 for the passage to the planet of evil.
Take one American comedian. Let her loose in the...
Dealing with an antimatter monster is no laughing matter. What matters in dealing with it is being matter-of-fact and keeping matters in perspective. The Doctor and Sarah will soon find themselves on the planet of evil, a very serious matter. Next week, Earth faces the greatest peril it has ever known when a mad professor attempts to release the Egyptian god of darkness. Be with us next Sunday night at 11 when the Doctor attempts to counter the pyramids of Mars. The mouth, advises the old bromide, but you'd be well served to ignore it if the giver is Sutek Set, the Egyptian god of darkness. My allusion will be made all too clear as we consider the pyramids of Mars.
Next week, the TARDIS returns to Earth, and a village Sarah knows well. But the once friendly town of Devasham has turned hostile. What can the reason be? The answers in the Android Invasion, next Sunday night at 11.
How does a Time Lord travel without a TARDIS? Why should he have to? And what does he do when he is beside himself? These questions also apply to a Time Lord's companion, and the answers will be forthcoming as soon as we become privy to the implications of the Android Invasion.
Next week, the Doctor will be abruptly ordered to the planet Karn, where the devious Professor Solon is trying to accommodate a pal whose theme song is I Ain't Got No Body. Be with us next Sunday night at 11 when we pay our respects to the brain of Morbius.
Ah, Paris. The Eiffel Tower, Notre Dame, Montmartre, the food, the people. You may have seen it all before, but have you ever seen it this way? I'm John Hemingway. Be with us for the next stop on our European tour, Paris. We're barging through Europe on Travels.
Barging Through Europe, Monday at 9.
Next on Nova. Hurricane Gilbert rips across the Caribbean, heading for the Gulf Coast. Where will it hit, and how much damage will it do? The unpredictable character of nature's most powerful force is slowly yielding its secrets to science. Journey into the eye of the storm for an up-close look at the killing power of the hurricane. That's next time on Nova.
Our latest knowledge on the hurricane, Tuesday at 8.
What I loved was popcorn, the smell of the fresh cut grass, the crack of the bat on the ball. I mean, that's corny, but that was like somebody beginning to conduct an orchestra.
I like baseball, and it's my game. You yell like crazy for your guys. Good for your lungs, and nobody calls the cops.
Forever Baseball, next time on The American Experience.
The meaning of the game, Tuesday at 9.
Hello, Chicago. You're watching us on Channel 11.
This week on Sneak Previews Goes Video, the home video release of the sizzling story of one of this century's most famous sex scandals, and the re-release of a gorgeous and touching family classic starring Gregory Peck, and a slapstick action comedy with Nick Nolte and Martin Short trying to escape the cops. Plus new movies at your local theater, including a Jack Lemmon Ted Danson offering that one of us loved and one of us hated, and a magnificent new family film about a bear cub that we agree you should race to your theater to see. Welcome to Sneak Previews Goes Video. I'm Michael Medved.
And I'm Jeffrey Lyons. And first up is our category of new video releases in drama. And the first movie is called Say Anything. It's a very engaging, intelligent romance between two kids who've just graduated from high school. And here, the nervous young John Cusack shows up for a date and meets the skeptical father, John Mahoney.
Be right there.
Hi, Lloyd Daleks, sir. Pleasure to meet you.
Hello, Lloyd.
Hello. Heard about that graduation present. Really quite a car. Look, I know you're busy. You don't have to entertain me, but you can trust me. I'll tell you a couple things about myself. I'm 19. I've been overseas for a couple semesters. Now I'm back. I'm an athlete, so I rarely drink. Kickboxing. You ever heard of kickboxing? Sport of the future? Don the Dragon Wilson, Benny the Jetter Keatis, Murray Smith, some of the champions of the sport. I can see by your face, no. My point is you can relax because your daughter will be safe with me for the next 7 to 8 hours, sir.
Fine, Lloyd. Come in.
Thank you. How you doing? Is she around?
Yeah. Honey?
Whoa is right. I love this picture. I think it's one of the best films of 1989, without question. I also think it's probably the best teen romance I've ever seen. For once, teenagers are not just portrayed as sort of a bundle of hormones. There is sexuality in the film, but they come to it very slowly. It's done very responsibly. These are also kids who have relationships with parents, and a relationship with a father is a very important element in the film. They're not just out there on their own. It is a brilliant directorial debut by the same man who wrote this picture, Cameron Crowe, and I can't wait to see his next film.
Yeah, John Cusack gives one of his better performances, and also Iona Skye, who we saw there at the end, the object of his woe, is an actress we'll see more a bit later. She's a wonderful new star, and together they're innocent kids, but they're also kids who are responsible. They go to a party, and one person collects all the driver's keys to make sure nobody drives home drunk. Little elements like that. The film is never preachy. It just shows you that some kids are responsible these days.
A terrific film and our highest recommendation. Okay, now if you do go to your video store and the film Say Anything isn't available, or if you're looking for a steamy alternative, I'd recommend that you might try Scandal. That's the fascinating story of the Profumo affair that brought down a British government in the early 60s. Now, this strange tale centers on two teenage party girls, Christine Keeler and Mandy Rice Davies, who are perfectly played by Joanne Whaley-Kilmer and Bridget Fonda. Based on their good looks, they frolic at the highest level of British society, at the same time that Keeler is carrying on with a Russian embassy official. But when the story becomes public, their world comes crashing down. Facing a court inquiry and some hysterical international publicity, Bridget Fonda, as Mandy Rice Davies, shows the irresistible impudence that will make her a major star.
October 1962, when you were living with Ward at Wimpole Mews, did you have sexual intercourse with an Indian doctor?
Yes.
Did he give you any money?
Yes, he did. Sometimes he gave me 15 pounds, sometimes 25.
How much of this money did you give Stephen Ward?
I paid the rent.
Apart from the rent?
Some money for the phone, about 25 pounds. I paid for the food as well, you see.
This is not a laughing matter.
Miss Davis, it is not true that you have been negotiating with a number of newspapers to sell your story.
I did, yes.
Does the value of your story not depend upon the conviction of this man?
No.
Do you realize that because of the laws of libel, your story will not have the same value if he is acquitted?
I hope he is acquitted.
Mr. Badge, you know quite well that before you ever came on the scene, Lord Astor, who was an old friend of the accused, had lent him substantial sums of money through a solicitor.
I did not know that.
Are you aware that Lord Astor denies any impropriety in his acquaintanceship with you?
Well, he would, wouldn't he?